Alright, I guess audio sync's going to be out, so we'll just try to start this from the start. How bad are we out? Unfortunately, I can't really tell by watching myself. Happy New Year, folks. Everybody should be there by now. Unless we've got another Earth that's taken a little longer to spin through. Let's see. Hey Kyle, John, Mr. Lockhart, Rich W. I'm just going to get started with this anyway while everybody turns up. Nothing fancy here, we're just putting my 1502 that I was using the other night back together so that I actually have something to work off. Haven't seen, haha, not since last decade, no. Some Captain tape because this was an annoying machine to put back together. Hey Ed, elegant, Stockholm's, yes. Scratch the nose. Ah! Stab the finger. Why not? Get some fresh blood into the ear. Let's see, we have the comedian at large. Hopefully this won't give me too much drama, because like I said, I do need this machine up and running. Thankfully I didn't destroy it. I was doing the experimentation the other day. I guess I better go overhead. Hey Rob C. Yeah, it's all looking good so far this year. It's been a pretty good start. So we've got the phone all backed up from last night. So that person was very happy after all this time to get things back to how they were. They were a little surprised to hear from me. Bernd, what are you saying? Ah, you're from Austria, right. Austria, the place that doesn't have kangaroos. Although you probably do have a few in the zoos, I imagine. Hey, Stuart Menzies, yeah, how you been? Where have you been? I imagine you've just had other life commitments. It's funny with these machines, when you first pull them apart, the first couple of times, it seems quite daunting. All these little screws, different bits and pieces, tricks and traps. And then you just sort of get used to it and you don't really worry about it anymore. Ah, g'day Johan. How's things in Osprey? You guys still growing all the oranges over there? Or has everything changed? I got a picture of me sitting at the toll booth that's between Nelspruit and Mozambique back in 2000, I think it was. We had a little bit of trouble getting that thing open. Some people didn't really like the idea that they had to pay to get back and forth between Mozambique, which I completely understand. Suits, yeah, the other board I've got all sorted out. That's all good and running. It's a spare now. But I just wanted to get my own back in, up and running before I forget what I'm doing and it becomes another random piece of parts on the workshop. I start out with the best of intentions, not mixing things up, but unless I keep these in containers, then things get mixed up, which is why I do use a lot of containers in this workshop. I know my weak spots in my behavior, so containers help me contain that. Some rough ones, Stuart. That's no good. Pedro, you can sleep when you're dead, like the rest of us. John White, itching to start repairing Macs, itching to get Boardview. I think I have the right skills to repair boards. I have massive electronics repair skills. What Macs are repairable? John, pretty much anything from 2012 up, to now. They all have degrees of repairability, but you can repair the older stuff. It just may not be worth it. If you want to get a bit of practice in, then something like 2012 A1502. They're a pretty good machine to get started on. They're well understood, easy to get into. This screw is not in properly. I'm going to have to find out why. Are there Macs that just can't be repaired like the newer? Well, yeah, the newer models are still repairable, but it's harder to get the board views and the parts for them. Whereas things from the 2012 to 2015 era tend to be the best at the moment. Why is that screw not going in properly? Damn it, now I've got to flick this up. Oh, what a pain. Hey, Richard Bicker. Hey, Tom George. A Geek in Japan. Is that a wear screwdriver? Yes, it is. And Geek in Japan, I definitely much prefer these over any sort of any of the other types. It's a solid feel. Yeah, there is a significant difference in using them compared to other drivers, cheaper drivers. So they're expensive, but it's worth it. Particularly, say you get the tri-wing for the iPhone 7, things like that. It's massively better than the others. I don't know what's happened to the screw here. I don't know whether it's cross-threaded or what, but it's not playing the game. And I don't like it. I might get another one. I'll probably be able to steal something from a 1466. Hey Christian. It's still you from the 1466. You should be about the same thread. No, what's going on? It's like the... Whoops, really made a big mess there. It's like it's bottoming out. It's just not aligned right. Something's... Oh, phooey. Just bent one of my fins. That's not good. My own stuff too. Hey Dave Legault, and short to ground. Thank you Chanka Naline. Chanenka Naline. Whereabouts are you from, Chanenka? Almost sounds like Zimbabwean or something. This thing is going to be marginal at best. I might have to get Pedro to come along and apply his workshop mechanic influence on this screw. So just torque it up till it snaps, back it off quarter of a turn, and then spot weld it. I'll do it. Are there any live broadcasts on Mac repairs on the polls? Oh yes, John. If if you go check out Lewis Rossman, that will be the massive bulk of repairs. There are also people like TCRS, Tim Herman, and let's see, trying to think who else does regular streams at this point. Yeah, Pedro knows what I'm talking about, how to fix up those things. I learnt the whole snap back off and spot weld technique from a truckie friend. I'm probably going to get myself some hate mail for that now. Did the original screw break? No, it doesn't seem like. I think it just sort of chewed out the aluminium a bit too much, and it finally just decided, meh, I'm not going to either give me a new thread or die trying. Okay. Battery. The rubber seal as opposed to the rubber dolphin. At least these ones you can put on after you've already put the board in. You try that the 1466, you usually do not win that one. Hey Pionov. Max from Poland. How's it going? Let's see, it's a short screw, so that goes in the back. The only trouble with these WIHA drivers for the PL4 is that the tolerance is so fine that you pretty much have to make sure you get, when you try to put the driver into the screw, it has to be pretty much smack on perpendicular. It won't let you slop in from the side. Although it's starting to get that way now because I've abused it enough. Here's hoping my machine boots up now. I'm from near Colombo City. Ooh. Okay, let's see if this boots. Well, it seems like I am booting. Stockholm's, well I know this should work because this is the MacBook, this is the one that I use. This is my laptop. I think I picked this up from someone, $50. Well, I'm glad that came up on an empty page and not something worse. Whew, lucky me. Alright, it's working. Excellent. See what my YouTube, see if it works. No internet, what? You're connected but you're telling me no internet? Why? No. Oh, the date's wrong. You're about a year out there, buddy. Time zone, well, at least I got that right. Date and time is just way out and wrong. 2020, buddy. 1st of the 1st, 2020. Oh, that's the second now for me. Second. time. 36 past 36. Save. I'd say it's probably my router's fault. Oh, iPhone screens on AliExpress any good and their batteries? There's too much variability. You just can't tell. You're better off, at least initially, internet disconnected. Why? Yeah, you're better off buying your screens initially from someone you know that's local, who's reasonably reputable, and at least if things go wrong, you can bounce back from them. Oh, here we go. Alright, we are back. Let's see. YouTube. And lo and behold, I'm watching myself. Okay, that's good. That works. Alright, now we can move on to my piles of junk. Piles of junk, piles of junk. Yeah, I've just been going through, and I've got all these to deal with. These random abandonments, phones that people haven't come back to collect, and I gotta work out what's what and just toss what isn't good. Okay, so you're just a 6 plus, yeah, you're a 6 plus test chassis. You're a 6 chassis, some boards. My shame stick. Yeah, I gotta keep my shame stick around to remind me that I'm an idiot. You don't have ad blocker? No, I don't. I don't bother. I like to support those that I view. Because I'm too cheap to send money. You're just another chassis. I've got too many of these iPhone 6 chassis. What's this? Okay, what is this? Jeez, 7 plus. And 7, is it? Yeah, it's a 7. Boot loop, long screw damage. Oh, yeah, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 7. Blimey. Okay, I'm gonna have a look at this 7 plus, see if it's got any use in it. Could do with another spare 7 plus around the place. And then I'll have another look at my shame stick. Pedro, I'm getting sick of all the trash boards I've got in this workshop that I'd never really know why they're here. And so it'd be nice to just clear them out once and for all, given that it's a new year. Time to take the trash out. Everything's like the iPhone 6 chassis and stuff like that. It's like, how many do you need? Time to dispose of them. Well, it looks like a couple of screws already come loose on that. Stockholm's, what was that? Was that black one an 8? I was fairly sure it was a 7. It's a glossy 7. That's what it is. Yeah, it does. It caught me out the other day. I had someone bring in one of those, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, it's an 8." And then they're like, "No, it's a 7." And I was like, "Oh yeah, so it is." This is the Wero Tri-Wing, by the way. It's definitely worth the money. Much better than the metal ones that I've been using prior. Do you reinstall the seal after screen placements? Honestly, I don't. I tell the people, I say, look, when I take this off, you're not going to have any waterproofing. Does that bother you? If it does, take it down to the Apple store in Townsville and get it done there. I know, it's poor form of me, but yeah. But at least I'm upfront about it. I don't do any 10s or anything like that yet. Yeah, Steve K. What I actually usually do is I stage my I just realised I left the battery connected. It looks flat anyway. I stage my cleanups. So what will happen is I'll move all this stuff into a box or container out in the workshop shed somewhere, and if I don't claim anything from it for a couple of months, then I'll consider it time to actually send it to the tip. John White, there was nothing wrong with that Mac. It was just a case of I used the chassis to repair another Mac board. Oh, fire truck. This is a... I don't want to take the Taptic engine out. They suck. Yeah, I'll do it this way. Oh, that one just kept going and going and going. Yeah, I don't really trust the IP ratings much myself either. It's sort of like, well, in a perfect world that might be the case, but most likely, no matter what, liquid's going to get in there. I mean, the fact that we still end up a whole bunch of liquid damaged ones is pretty much proof of that. This is definitely a dead battery. Straight into the bin. No point having that sort of thing hanging around. Let's flick some isopropyl into our face. Yeah, another phone for the wife. She's happy with my old 6S Plus rather. Okay. Steve K, that's really hanging on a bit there. Might be time to let go of some of that. I really wish I would leave better notes on these things at times, because honestly, just at first glance at this, I'm like, well, what's wrong with it? Has it been liquid damaged? Is it? Why would it even be here? I mean, I've obviously negotiated at some point for this person to leave it here and just as a trade for something. Okay, it's a feather doing in there, bird feather. That's weird. Let's try it with one of those test screens. And a battery. Hey, we're on stamps. I'd be very surprised. Yep, 150k, it's fine. The only thing is I don't have a sensor flex on this, so it might take a long time to boot. Hey Evan, thank you. Hope you had a good one too. Some of Lewis's coral in that phone. I must have missed that one. Oh, it was coral Erica's bird? We've got a boot. Oh, we don't have a boot. We got a boot loop. Oh, it's probably going real slow because of the... It's interesting, the home button screw is missing. This is just boot looping. What do you say? Maybe. Don't know. Got one screw holding in that. This screen is stuffed up from what I can tell. It just shows random lines, nothing more. It's hot air to get that flex out. Make sure we don't use 400 degrees. Where's my little removal tool? Not hot enough. Same for this up here. Stuart, it's only at 200. It's okay. It's not enough to upset the chips in it. It just gets the glue hot enough that you can slide it off without putting excess force onto it. and thus preventing you from doing other idiotic things. There's a piece of junk up in the connector. Ah. It's getting a bit warm in here. Drop it down to 22. I've had a near miss once when I wasn't watching the output of the hot air, and I assumed it was still on 200 setting, 250, and it was not. It was on the 400. And so that was a bit of a panic for a few seconds, wondering whether I was about to have my first botched up home button for the 7s. But I was lucky and it wasn't. Just going to secure this in, since obviously this is matched for the phone, so I don't want to lose it. Hey MicroFX, how's it going? I haven't seen you around. Have you been around here before, MicroFX? Ah. By the way, hi Sicky. Sicky. Oh, I pronounced that wrong. Cheap, nasty screen this one is. Hey, A-mine. I don't exactly know when or... so normally I have a sticker that gives me a history of these things, but for some reason, I guess what the problem is, this is a box or container, a pile of devices that I don't have sufficient information on to know whether I can just toss them or not. I'm just waiting for it to come up now. Looks like that flashed down the bottom then, didn't it? Yeah, I think this is still in a boot loop. Warren, probably not. That number is actually a internal code, it's not a phone number. I probably should cover their names, but... So it looks like I've got a perpetual boot loop here. Hey Branimir, Croatia's New Year's. Alright, so we've got a boot loop problem. I'm going to guess it's probably a RAM fault, perhaps. What do you reckon? What's the vote on what could be causing the boot loop? Connect the power supply, check the boot amps. Alright. We shall try that. Was it 7 plus? Lucky me. Pulled up the right one. The battery is a good battery, so it's not bad. So we're drawing 200, 200, 280, 400, 400, 300, And it loops, stalls at 130 for a while, go back to 0, 65, 150, 200, 70, 250. Yeah, so it's not, it's like it's going through the motions, but it's just not quite getting the full way. She's gonna blow, if only. Then at least we would have some fireworks. TriStar can do that, you think? Even off the battery. Okay, that's a new one for me. I don't do very many iPhone 7 TriStars at all, in fact. Cut the red wire, that's a good idea. Hey, English Hedgehog, how's it going? Oh, that's going to be a pain if it's TriStar. I've got to get all the way into this. What a nuisance. I had one yesterday. I wish Jason Vilmer was here. I could bounce that off him too. He'd know as well. Not to say I don't believe people, it's just, it's always good to have multiple opinions. And some people can go, yeah, it's that, and yeah, different experiences, things like that. Damn it, just ruined the phone, Paul. I don't know if the Sydney fireworks were good because I'm a long way from Sydney, but I imagine they would be. I spend a few $1 million on them. I'm really not a fan of the iPhone 7 disassembly process to get the board out. See what happens when you forward phone repairs to other repairers? Or what happens? What, you mean I'm losing out on the knowledge? I guess that would be true. They probably did, but I was busy fixing an iPhone. And yeah, once you've seen one, you kind of, to be fair, get a little, it's like, oh well, yep, whoop-de-doo, here comes another batch of fireworks again next year. There are some things that you don't mind doing multiple times over and over, but fireworks, it sort of gets a little boring after a while. Ah, damn you, secret screw, I hate you. Why does Apple make this? You can't complain that Apple uses too much glue and stickers and stuff, because really most of the time they're using layers upon layers of screws. Hey Kurt Dorr. Ocpa Storm, hello. Interesting name. Unless you have kids, yeah, that's different. If you've got kids, fair enough. Thankfully I don't have such little life stealers. Life and mana drainers, that's what they are. People convince you to have them, and then you rapidly age 30 years. I have a crotch goblin. The names that you come up with. Right, this little SOB, I know I've got to warm it up, get the adhesive off. It's a lying little thing because I've, yeah, I got to get that screw out. Oh, I do love my microscope switcher when it works. Yeah, but I certainly prefer cats, that's for sure, Pedro. Much prefer cats. Okay, I shouldn't say that because I've never had kids. But I've seen people endure them, and I've been one myself, would you believe? And I didn't like myself when I was a kid, so that's going to be the basis of me not having them. 7 plus, Kurt. 7 plus. I think we're about ready to pop this thing out. Hey, Sumith Sampath. I ruined your name there, I do apologise. Yeah, we've got some junk going on there. Get that out of here. Yeah, Stuart, I wasn't a nice. I didn't like myself as a kid, no. Is it Intel or Qualcomm? I don't know, Jimmy. Sumith, you're in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka. We used to always fight with Sri Lanka over the one day cricket matches. Doesn't really look like any liquid damage anywhere here. Just piece of glass. Oh well, replacing the TriStar is comparatively trivial, I suppose, so we'll just go in for the kill. I should point out these are all my phones. They're not customers waiting on them to get them back or anything. They're just agreeably abandoned phones. Due to the fact that the people decided they didn't want to take the chance, risk the money on a repair or whatever, and they just happened to willingly leave them in my care permanently. Some of these have been here for well over 2 years now, especially those 6s. And there's our precious little TriStar. What do we get? Question from newbie. Does anyone repair these? Try the simple stuff before looking at the hardware shoes. Yeah, a lot of that sort of stuff gets done prior to it even getting into this room. As for those asking if this is Qualcomm or Intel, I have no idea. A1502. Let's get my board holder out. If you get one repaired, do you try it? Wait, I do, yes. Like the one I did yesterday, I did that. Depends on the person too. Some people are complete jerks and I just don't want to ever deal with them again. That's not true. If I have what I feel is a genuine chance of getting their data, I will still call people up even if I didn't like them. I'm just being deliberately obnoxious on YouTube because it creates drama. And drama creates interest. And interest creates people visiting. Okay, get my favourite tweezers for this stuff. Put a spot of flux down there, that'll do. Turn on the... No, I don't know what happened there. The point of flux is to go under the chip, not on top of it. Now the only downside of having a top pulled it like that is that it means I've got all the solder balls sitting at the back, which I have to clear out, and that's not that easy to do when all you've got is a JSO2 tip. This is always the fun part. Kilowatt for, honestly no, I wouldn't. I think, let's see, it comes down to your personality and all honesty. Some people, well, I can only speak for myself. I prefer to learn just by, taking on one of these tasks and fixing it, and then checking on the internet and things like that. Other people do prefer to be directed with their learning and do like to have the courses, such as what Jessa or Riwa or whoever offers. And so if I say no, I don't think it's worth doing the course, it's basically only from my own perspective of how I would react. I find you can learn so much more when you go at it your own way, because you tend to follow your own path that you naturally have your natural learning path. But then, like I said, some people prefer to be pointed in the right direction rather than feeling lost. Some people actually get choked out mentally when they're forced to have to find their own path, and that's not a bad thing. It's just it's a different way of going about learning. So you can see we've cleared the balls at the back there, so that's good. It's always the trickiest part on the iPhone 7. Funnily enough, I find the 6S to be more problematic. Okay, so if we get a A10 610A3B, I'm going to have to order a whole bunch more of those because I've just gone through a bunch of them. What age did you start? I guess it depends what sort of start you're talking about, because like, I mean, my first sort of introduction to electronics was when I was about 7 years old. But I spent more of my youth doing programming on Z80 machines and things like that, and then PCs. And it wasn't really until my 20s again that I bothered to get back into electronics. And then I did manufacturing in my 30s, along with design and things like that. So it's a bit of a broad splatter field, really. In terms of MacBooks, I've only been doing MacBooks a couple of years. And now I've got to find my iPhone 7. Let's see. Open. Intel one has no information. Hilarious. Alright, so our TriStar has its pin 1 up top left. I go to PDU. Aha, very funny. Yeah. Kilowatt 4. Let's see. Best tools. I would say, if nothing else, you want to get the amp scope, the Hakko FX or the Hakko FM203, and the quick hot air. And once you've got those three sorted, everything else really becomes a bit more of a personal choice. But having those core three items is the most crucial thing. Everything else you can just sort of mess around, try different tweezers, different tools. Oh man, the surface tension is always a bit of a pain here. Beginner, 37 years old, learning never does. Quite right. No sooner do you learn something, you find it goes out of date, and I think that's why I'll stop people complaining. I'll put a shield on this, even though it doesn't really need it. You'd have a hard time getting enough heat into the board to... But what is annoying me here is the surface tension. There's too much flux there, and it's got nowhere to really go. I'm trying to find... I'm just going to heat it out so it floods out a bit. Spreads around a bit. Now some people can hold the chip, and I admire those people that have that talent, because I sure can't do it. Okay, let's try it. Just enough to get to stick like that. Ow. Evan, 70 and still learning. Yep, I'm glad to see that, people saying that. Because the moment you stop thinking that you have to learn is the moment you truly start becoming dumb. Hey JR, thank you. Okay, that's out of here. Gonna blown the exposure a bit here. Let's see, overhead. Oh wow, and I was zoomed in. That's hilarious. Kind of curious why it's blowing the exposure, because I've actually got it in automatic mode. Update. Oh, that made it worse. Yeah, it's weird. It's on automatic, but it's still... Okay. So be it. That looks better now, doesn't it? It's a little bit more brightness. Yeah, that should do it. What's the tool at the right? There are a whole bunch of tools here. Is that what you do? Oh wait, that's the left, yeah. This here is just a generic board holder. It's, I got it from Union Repair. So normally I previously would use these ones, and these are set for a particular types of, so like this is 6S and iPad. And they're really nice because they fit perfectly for those boards. But I find you keep changing boards around so much that it's easier to get one of these generic ones that will do pretty much the whole range. And yeah, So I just tend to use that as my primary one. Well, let's see if that did anything. Or whether we just still going to boot loop. Is that screen gone? Change the saturation. How bad's it? Saturation. There we go. We'll do black and white. That's way overblown. The trouble with doing things like color saturation is that unless you have a monitor that properly displays it, you're kind of just shooting in the dark. Because what's my reference point? I don't have a reference. I've got a screen that cost $150 and that's it. Let's see. I just need a little. Oh, this will do. Power. Let's see if we can boot it. Okay, we are booting, it seems. You gonna come up? Nope. Okay, so with our logo, sorry folks, if this is going to boot, I want to be sure I don't reveal too much. It does seem to be holding it. I don't think it's boot looping this time. Hey, there we go. Look at that. Alright, who was it that's the TriStar? It seems like that might have been our... Trouble is, it's a freaking passcode now. God damn. I'm fairly sure this is not going to be the passcode. What? 281. Touch is really erratic. So I think we've got audio IC fault too. And it's not that passcode. So if I go to emergency, it's either... Yeah, it takes forever to get back. I know I've got the wrong sticker on the wrong phone here. The audio I see is probably likely what also needs repairing. Any plans for the business in the new year? Yes, I have to fix up this workshop a lot more. I need to get more of the shelving setups. I also need to clear up the windows so that I can see if I could... I'll bring it up. Alright, so where we go? All this curtain area behind me, that's got to go. Now I'm not going to get rid of the windows, but I am going to basically cover them up. and put shelving space and things like that in front of it. And just generally the whole room needs to be redone, because what I'm doing is I'm shutting down all my PC repair stuff, because it really just is not profitable. There's not enough people needing it, not enough people who will even pay for it, for that matter. So that's it, it's out the door. So we'll put a sticker on this to say, what do you call it? Audio IC. Which is a good thing, because it'll be a practice run for me. I've done them before, but yeah, I see. Baggy this up. I think. I will not be doing the audio C right now. It's a little bit late. It's 1:30 in the morning. If I want to have any chance of not messing it up, I think I'll have to wait till tomorrow. But I can leave that for tomorrow anyway. Okay, that's that. This is the sheet of randoms that I need to keep. At least it gives us something for tomorrow. Ah, damn. I didn't need my kneecap. Yeah, most people buy, exactly, they buy cheapish laptops. Once they die, they throw them out, which is why MacBooks are so nice. It forces, people make the investment, and that investment makes them consider the option of repair. Okay, what I'm going to have a look at though, just before I go knock off, is my old shame stick, which I just threw around. Oh, you're welcome, Irvin. I mean, we all learn from each other. Like, I watch a lot of other people and I pick up tits and bits. It does get harder over time, because you kind of, there's a massive bulk of stuff that you already know, and so you're waiting longer and longer between the new things. Okay, this is a severely water damaged phone when I got it, so it may have never been truly repairable, but I like to keep trying every now and then. So the first thing I'm going to do is clear away all this awful flux. And just heat it up a bit. You can see how bad. Just warm up that flux a bit. From what I remember, this was sitting in the bottom of some water cesspit for quite some time. I just noticed the first time that there's traces under that pad there, so I'll have to watch out for that. The usual suspects have already been pretty much wiped out, namely all this speaker and vibe stuff. I'll flip it over. This board's probably been here now 3 years. So it predates a lot of the work that was available on the internet for people to check with. You can see all the CPU stuff's been reworked. That's probably where I killed it. That chip there, I just know that's an EEPROM chip. I'm pretty sure, isn't it? I know we've got the baseband one on the other side, just behind here. No. Hey, Kemes. Some buffering going on. Yeah, that's no good. Okay, so what have we got? Backlight's been removed. Blah blah blah. Brain fart. Strobe, that's been removed. We can get rid of that if we want. Let's see what the actual power boot behaves like at the moment. Let's see if we get anything at all. Good God, man. Okay, power boot sits at 140, 150, 100, 150. Okay, it's going through a bit of a cycle. Not sure what. Yes, this board is my nemesis. John, yes, I am actually a bit tired. Okay, so it's cycling between 100, 150 and then restarts. So based on what I learned last night, I'll take these two, but I'm pretty sure I've already taken them off, but I'm taking them off again. Oh wait, I'll check the I2C lines. Let's see if there's any issues with them. Because these low current kind of boot loops do seem to be primarily I2C related in many cases. By the way, I did fix up the board view for this so that it would properly show the right I2C lines now. Any things I don't think I've updated on this machine yet. Oh well. Yeah, I'm an addict, I know. It's because well, it's what I am. We want resistance actually. One 178. Okay, C340, that's way too low for that line. That should be closer to 178. So last night it was this one here that was problematic. Tonight it's this one here. So if we have a look at the board view, so was it this one? So RCam, I2C, great. Oh, no, that shouldn't be. Oh, okay, no, I was comparing those two last night. 302, 303. My bad. This is what happens when you start to get tired. And yeah, the camera ones are 1K. It's still a little low, but it shouldn't be causing this sort of problem. Oh yeah, Lewis is always on my back about Boardview. I want to check which one of those, if any, are an EEPROM. I really hope they're not. So U2100, what are you? You're a voltage regulator, LDO, so all good, no dramas, no one's gonna die a horrible death. And you're also an LDO, so that's good. No harms there. U2301 is for the camera. So I actually I'm pop that off. Since it looks a little funky, see how it's... yeah. Well, that solves that, doesn't it, Paul? And there's a fair bit of corrosion under there. I'm just begging to come off. Ah, no one saw it. No, that's not U1801, that's U2301. Oh, you mean the actual... yeah, the one I'm thinking of is... let's see... this is the one I'm thinking of that I was worried about. UEPRF. If you lose that, you lose your phone. Or at least the data. Now, why would I be the Picard of the Mac world? Picard has no hair, I have hair. Paul S. He's the Picard of the Mac world. Yeah, we'll just clean this up. Good enough. You can see almost every single part around here has some sort of liquid damage. It's kind of scary. Hey, Flow Gaming. I haven't seen you yet for Flow Gaming. You new, or you just been a long time sit back and watch? Okay, 194. 194, okay, so those I2C lines are fine. Captain Stallman. Oh no, don't you dare associate me with Richard Stallman. Really, please do not. The guy is a little too far off field for me. I appreciate what he's trying to do, but he really represents like the far goal post to one extreme. And then you have, say, Tim Cook on the other far, or really not Tim Cook even, I'd say the guy that runs Oracle nowadays. Where's Larry, whatever his name is. Okay, I'm going to check the other I2C lines. Where are you? You're under the... you're under here. Okay. So that's a little bit beaten up down there too. .1, that's pretty much smack on, so that's good. That, on the other hand, I might be just shorting my probe tips. I've got a dead short along that. Is that legit? 2K19. Okay, that's fine. I was getting a dead short, I think, because they kind of butted up against each other. Okay. And the other I2C lines are on the RAM chip somewhere up here, I think. Or is it the... around here somewhere. Larry Ellison, thank you, yes. I don't think Larry Ellison's ever going to truly embrace open source in any meaningful way. Okay, 3/4 from the right. Okay, so it's this one here. Looks like I've already been meddling with this one. 1.3, that was right. 1.3, that's right. Kurt, this is a iPhone 6. A very messed up iPhone 6 at that. That's some really nasty corrosion going on down there. I might clear out that section of its top fill and see if anything falls off. So switch back to 250. Well, you see, Larry wasn't really... I mean, the whole Sun Solaris, Open Solaris thing, that wasn't really his thing. That was the engineers at Sun. And Larry came along and pretty much tossed that all out. He tossed all the good bits of Sun out, basically. The bits that a lot of us loved. And people complain about Microsoft being a bit heavy-handed, or even Apple for that matter, but they got nothing on Oracle. With Oracle, if you're a business, half the time you spend more on licensing and stuff like that, even if you don't think you need it, just so they don't come after you for anything. They're scary people. Hey Robert from Tuscan, Arizona, man. Really getting everybody from all over the place, that's good. I won't be surprised if this cap just decides to pop off like it is, yeah. These blades are thin, but they do impart enough pressure that they can cause parts with weak pads to come off. And I'm not worried about it, I'm actually using that intentionally. If you don't have one of these blades, definitely get one. They're fairly cheap and they're superb for getting this underfill and side fill, top fill out. Definitely worth it. And you only need to use about 250 centigrade on your hot air. It goes through it real nice. Okay. Tuscan is pronounced Tucson. Seriously? Tucson. I'd probably seen it say Tucson. That's funny. Man, the number of places in the US that are pronounced differently to what I'm expecting. I think I'm going to need to get re-educated. Like Illinois, things like that. It's like, why do you spell it that? You know, we get Lewis complaining about having excess U's and stuff like that in the words I use, but, well, there's... Shoot, did I just knock that off? Let's turn off the noisemaker. Yeah, Union Repair has them. Sorry. I was trying to say that and I just kept brain farting. Let's get to diode mode. Nice try there, Robert. How is this cap not actually shorted? It's amazing. Well, apparently nothing's shorted there. Could have fooled me. It sure looks like it's been beaten to hell. Well, I might eliminate things that I don't need. So that's things like the RFP mic. And even took out the Wi-Fi cap. Obviously audio IC is gone. That whole area just looks like such a mess. I'm worried that the capacitance of the parts that are left is so poor that it may not even be able to operate properly. I'll cry if this ended up being just something really simple right at the start. Probably was. Really probably was. Have you seen the Watchmen series? I haven't seen the series, I have watched the movie. I found the movie difficult the first time around, but then I found it appealing and I went to watch it again. It's one of those sort of movies perhaps you don't really understand if you don't have the background behind it. Okay. Yeah, the main thing I've got to not do is knock that. That there is definitely an EEPROM chip, so we definitely don't want to knock that off. Lose it, rather. All I'm doing here is essentially eliminating possible points of problem. There's a bit of corrosion up here in this top corner that does make me worry about what's under the EEPROM. I'm not sure if I've replaced Tigris or not. Suppose we can just lift it, have a look. If it seems okay, we can just pop it back down. Welcome back, Steve K. TriStar has definitely been replaced because that's a 16A3B. which most certainly is not the normal one for this board. That seems okay. Damn it. Is Union Repair the best place for parts? Well, I don't know about the best, but it is a nice starting point for a lot of repairs. If you haven't had a lot of experience for parts, getting parts before, then I mean, yeah, they're a pretty good starting point. Depends on where you are too. Papa Frida, I think we all end up with our own different styles, I guess. That little spot of corrosion up there does concern me. I really don't want to mess with that. I'll check with a couple of these caps, see if anything's shorted. I haven't doubts. They look terrible, but I don't think they're shorted. I'll be, no doubt, repeating my test on a couple of caps, but when I can't remember the rails offhand, I just go through and check them all. Some people lose their heads over it. Look, you already tested that one 6 times. And it's like, oh well. Oh, hello. There we go, we've got a short on that. Either that or it's a CPU one. That's C3260RF. VREG SMPS 0.9 volt. That's a baseband power management unit. Yeah, that shouldn't actually be shorted, that one. Almost 2, thank you. Okay. Are we shorted or is it just a low diode mode? Because it is a 0.9 volt rail, so they can be fairly low, so they can handle high current. Yeah, you see that's 140. It's not abnormally, well, badly low in my opinion. I'll get another iPhone 6 and have a look. You gotta be careful thinking that all beeps mean I'm shorts, because it's not always that case. Mind you, this is registering at 400. So 0.8. It does look like I've actually knocked it there. We'll push it back and see if it stops being shorted. CPU cap is moved. Which CPU cap? Oh, you mean the one I'm just about to fix? Now that is actually way low. 19 ohms on that line. So that'll be the heat causing a chip somewhere to be dropping that. Okay, so where does that go? So, well, it can't be the RF, but it could be the baseband CPU, so we'll just drop the baseband clean off on the other side. It's not a big problem at all. It's not to say that's at fault, but it's going to be the easiest thing to remove, and it's not required anyway, so we'll get rid of it. Just put it at a bit of a tilt so that I can get under it. The contact, what? Steve K, can you get a part number on me for that? I'm just taking off the baseband CPU anyway. There was corrosion under it as it was, just there. Hey Karen Tippett, thank you. You too. Yeah, it's like the stream that doesn't really teach you much at all, but it entertains, hopefully. So you might not like it a lot, but you should like it enough. It's interesting with the baseband CPU replacement, or not replacement, when you fix up the searching fault, getting the shield off for that chip so you can even get to replace the baseband is the part I find harder than the baseband itself. The baseband chip itself I find fairly trivial. But getting the shield off, no thanks. Watching work on this 3-year-old IP6 to repair later box. Yeah, Tony, that's that's what I'm working on. Stuart, yes, this board has data on it that I'd like to get one day. Now the person is long since gone, but consider it a personal challenge, as it were. A personal demon that's been haunting me. Could that loop be current sensing at Tigris? Maybe. I'll replace Tigris later, perhaps. Okay, so we're at a far more sensible value now. Far more. Ah, crikey! Why didn't anyone tell me? Alright, baseband's off, and we are at a mega ohm, so we're good. Annoying that no one told me that I wasn't recording that section. The round turret box, yes. Because we've all got plenty of square turrets. Okay, hit the boot. $165, reboot. 165, reboot. 50, 60. No, still got issues. I'm about to start repairing MacBooks. Is it advisable to get a MacBook? Is it needed to repair tasks using the Apple's? Not really, no. The main reason you might want to get a Mac is just so you can compare things, if anything else. If nothing else, rather. I'm feeling disappointed. This isn't working out like last night's great adventure. But, like I said, this is a long-standing one. I mean, for all I know, the CPU's dead. There just has to be one damn cap somewhere. Or resistor. And everything's in such bad condition, it's pretty damn hard to tell. With the constant looping, and it gets to 160, no, that's throwing me. I'm not really sure what to make of that. What are you, little filter, and why are you you're just holding on by your little leg? But you're probably not anything important. Ah, you're a diode. Speaker out, connected diode, protection diode. Not needed. See ya, Pedro. Enjoy the sleep. Scratch your kitty cat for me. About that one. Filter 1875, your antenna related. No point. Percussive maintenance would be useful, yes. Yeah, Steve K, you're right. Yep, forget to switch the cameras. I do wonder at times how much of the RF section you can just wipe out. Surely you can pretty much wipe out everything, I would have imagined. Look at that part down there. It has absolutely no solder pad on it. Again, it would be nice to have Jason Vilmer around here, or Chris Long. One of those greatly sort of experienced people who will go, oh yeah, I know that boot pattern sequence. Okay, so we've got a knocked off little thingamajig there. Let's see. Thingamajig, that's you up here. PBVAT. Yeah, you're a capacitor. You're not going to make any difference at all. Boo. Oops. Well, what we'll do is we'll run our solder across all those parts and see which ones lift up. Interesting that it's not taking. Alright. Hot air required. Set the air at 120 yeah, why not? No reason. I'm using the wrong nozzle size for a start. I've been using MacBook nozzle size. This goes to show you can use the wrong tool and still get away with it. You get a little bit disinclined to change the tips on the quicks because it's such a pain to do it. It's, yeah. They can keep the digital up down for the temperature and air, but my god, I wish they'd fix the tip change system. It's terrible. 3mm nozzle. That's a 3mm at 120. That's a crazy thing to do. And as it is, I've already got to turn the air here down to 30. So I am going to just blow everything clean off. I sure hope none of those are diodes. Capacitor, capacitor. Yeah, they're actually both completely and utterly benign in terms of function. Yeah, blow all the bits off, start fresh. Just start transport. Oh man. There's really not a lot of point doing this, to be fair, because they are just little picofarad capacitors. They don't really have a substantial influence on anything. And even my solder doesn't want to go to them. Yeah, what am I fighting with these for? I'm being an idiot. Let me see if the C2550 33 picofarad, not even worth worrying about in that context. C2509 100 picofarad. Again, pretty much pointless. I'm just going to leave them off. I don't have a micro pencil, Tony. I know, shocking, but I really don't. If I was going to get a micro pencil, I would probably get another station. This whole area is just so ugly that it really does make me think it's got part of the blame. And then I am worried about this. It doesn't look like it's cut the tracks, but I do wonder. You're attached, so you're okay. Oh yeah, that diode's free floating, but I don't think it's... I don't think that diode really is going to come into play at this point. Or are you a capacitor? Oh no, you're a capacitor, sorry. That's not the first time that's actually caught me out, that one there. I keep thinking it's a diode. Yeah, I'm really not sure what I'm facing right now. Okay, what were you? Yeah, it is difficult to diagnose with every part being suspect. Let's see. Rotate. Which did I just knock off then? It's just off by the... No, you're just a cap as well. You're on the VCC main, but you're just another cap. So you can go away. Not important. What about this little thing here? Okay, so that's not connected. Oh, you guys can't see that. Man, I've got to do something about that. This here, also not connected. Again, cap, not relevant. If it was a filter or a resistor, then that would help. But when it's a cap that's just sort of disconnected from the board, it's not going to be causing these sort of issues. Okay, that there looks pretty nasty. Oh, no one can see. That's it, I've got it all in. There we go. So we're here down below the PMIC, and that there looks a little nasty. Two verticals. But again, cap. I mean, if it's if it's shorted, fine. Yeah, I mean it's a problem. But these are more just we're not touching the board anymore. Yeah, everything looks dodgy. Ah! Just stabbed my finger. Starting to get to the point where it's I have to put this one to bed again for another few months. I'm not sure what else I could really safely take off. Even though some of these parts look really crappy, they're holding on pretty good. So, what does that chip do? SIM card ESD protection. Nope, not interested. Tony, yeah, the job notes are mostly curse words. No luck today, no luck today, no luck today, flippin' thing, pain in the butt, no luck today. Yeah, the usual sort of love that you expect. The person, by the way, is not waiting on any of this. They've long since moved on. But like I said, it's a personal demon, this board. And so I would dearly one day like to defeat it. I just checked that, didn't I? Evan, no worries. Well, thank you for spending your time here. I appreciate that. Hopefully things go well with your other extra activities that you've got to do there. I'm getting to the point where I might consider lifting the PMIC just to see what it looks like underneath. Given the amount of damage that's all around. Oh, and KMES just happens to mention replacing the PMIC, yeah. Oh, my camera's shifted, sorry about that. It's been snared and turned. There we go. Funnily enough, at the PMIC is where I actually would want the 9mm nozzle. Guess who just took the 9mm off? John, it was customers board at one point, but it's, like I said, they've long since moved on from it. It was so severely damaged at that time. Like I said, it's about 3 years ago that it was just, oh well, you know, can't do anything about it. But I keep trying every now and then, in the vain hope that one day a miracle will occur. Okay, we got some NCs off there. We didn't need them. It actually doesn't look too bad under there, to be honest. Not sure I'll be blaming this one. Got a couple of oxidized pads, but there's our NC pads. But there doesn't appear to be any real corrosion at all under there. Of course, I suppose it could be damaged. We'll get you on the personal demon. I have a 1465 PP bus short and the backlight fuse, which requires drilling out of the board. Ew, yuck. And a 1465 of all things. I mean, could the PMIC be damaged? I suppose it could. I guess we should just replace it. I'm sort of tempted to just pop it back down and let it reflow. What is the time anyway? Oh jeez, 20 past 2 in the morning. I really should be heading to bed. You're all a bad influence. I think what I'll do is I will leave the PMIC off, and then I'll take it off at one that's working, and then I will compare the diode mode values for the various things around under the PMIC. So it might give me a chance to narrow down what I'm looking for. But I think we've come to the end of the evening with me. It is getting late. I need to get some sleep. I'm finding it very difficult to live off 3-4 hours of sleep at the moment. It's extremely painful, to be honest. So I think we'll leave this one for tomorrow. I'll go through and I'll check the diode mode readings and take it from there. There's a bit of a short there. Damn it, why is there always a short? It was in a ground pad anyway. Wasn't relevant. Alright. Okay, you can be used as my reference. Okay. Alright, so we didn't have any real wins tonight. I mean, okay, we had the 7 Plus that we got up and booting, but we've got an audio IC to fix on that. And why has this gone back to there? It should have been there. Oh, it's because I swung the multimeter back. So we'll, tomorrow, unless there's MacBooks that arrive, which I'm really hoping there will be, because they're long overdue, I will probably tackle that 7 Plus, change the audio IC, well not change it, but fix up the links on it, the U1, V1, all the rest of them. U1, V1, that's baseband CPU. Anyway, we'll get that fixed up and see if we get a working phone. I'll also try and contact the person that used to own it, because they were supposed to hand it over to me and just empty it out. But I think the problem is that because we couldn't get into it, it was like, well, we can't reset the phone. And if I end up for another 7 Plus, that'll be good, because I do use it as my daily driver at the moment, another one, so having a spare one on hand would be a nice thing. So alright, so I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you very much for persisting for the last 2.5 hours or whatever it's been, and I will perhaps see you tomorrow. Watch out for the dingoes. Don't let the bunyips grab you. They'll drag you into the swamp and you will never come back. Or you might come back as another bunyip. Who knows? Anyway, you'll take care. I'll see you later.